And welcome back to another great action-packed episode of East Coast Pro Wrestling on Seaside Communications. I'm Patrick Menil, your play-by-play commentator for tonight's action as we send you now to ringside. And our ring announcer, John Patterson, will announce the competitors for our next great matchup. And again, reminding you, ECPW will be back in Reserve Mines on October 11th for the Autumn Aggression 2019 show featuring former WWE superstar Carlito. Great women's action coming up here on East Coast Pro Wrestling, featuring the sensational Madison Miles, once a fan favorite here in the Maritimes, but Maddie no longer has the support of these fans since she's changed her ways. And I had mentioned on a previous episode of ECPW on Seaside Communications that Madison getting a tryout with World Wrestling Entertainment perhaps has gone to her head, but there's no doubt of her capable skills between the ropes as she's shushing the fans. But for as capable of a competitor as Madison Miles is, she has found herself a nemesis in her opponent Chantel tonight, because Chantel in Inverness earlier this year pinned Madison Miles in a tag team match. And then in the ensuing show we saw here in North Sydney, there was a four-way women's contest in which Chantel was able to eliminate Madison Miles again, and a bit of sour grapes on the part of Madison, as she would run interference, causing Chantel to be interfered in that match. You saw that one on ECPW. And since then, Chantel has certainly felt spurned by Madison Miles, and she threw the gauntlet down for this match, this rematch that Chantel wanted. But make no mistake, just because she's been able to defeat Madison Miles before, that's no guarantee it happens again. Madison Miles, one of the most capable competitors here in the Maritimes, and this is going to be a great matchup. I'm confident of that. Chantel coming by way of the hub town of Nova Scotia, Truro, and as I mentioned before, she's had some success against Madison Miles, but perhaps smarting after she was eliminated by Casey Spinelli in that four-way contest. No thanks to Madison Miles' antics. Chantel making her way to the ring to a great ovation here from the ECPW fans at the Cape Breton Farmers Exhibition here in North Sydney, making sure to clap hands with all of the fans at ringside. Great crowd here on hand for tonight's matchups. And again, these two know each other very well. And Madison Miles trying to douse Chantel. And Chantel not amused by the antics of Madison Miles. And now Madison Miles firing a water bottle right into the crowd, thankfully going over the fans. That could have been a lawsuit on the hands of ECPW, and she made contact with some of the supporters there. There's just no call for that whatsoever. And as I've mentioned earlier, it's disappointing to see the change in attitude of Madison Miles, but I do not want to downplay her tremendous skill in the ring. And I'm certainly excited to see what we've got here as a grudge match gets off to a fiery start. Chantel charging right into the corner. She's anxious to settle this once and for all. Backs Madison up into an opposite corner, now throwing herself into Madison Miles, who finds herself on the defensive here. Chantel coming out like a house of fire. She is a woman with something to prove, as going for an early pinfall attempt and a 2 count, and Madison Miles has no choice but to roll out of the ring, and she has no answer for the fiery attack of Chantel early in this matchup. And Chantel hungry to avenge the injustice that she suffered at the hands of Madison Miles on the last time they saw each other here on ECPW on Seaside Communications. And now Madison sitting among the fans. And now Madison, I don't know if she's asking if the fans like her, but she won't get a positive answer, but she does strike a powerful elbow to the face of Chantel as Madison assumes control for the first time in this matchup. And an elbow to the back of Chantel. A front face lock and then throws Chantel to the mat. And how quickly the tide turns. And it's almost like Madison is able to use that energetic outburst that Chantel had against her now. As Madison has Chantel backed up into the corner. And Madison, a powerful individual, throwing the weight of her shoulders in to Chantel. As you know, Madison in great shape is using her power to her advantage. And now it brings Chantel to the middle of the ring. Big suplex sends Chantel down. And Madison Miles adorned in green. Chantel in the purple and black. As Madison Miles points to the crowd. Now a count of two rather. And Madison a bit slow on that pinfall attempt. She did hook the leg, but perhaps if she wasn't preoccupied with jawing with those at ringside, maybe she would have had a victory over Chantel. Now Chantel with a roll-up attempt, a 1 and a 2, and Madison has the wherewithal to kick out. And a quick exchange of 2 counts here. Again, these two know each other very well. Expect a well-scouted matchup. They know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and should make for a barn burner here in our opener on ECPW on Seaside Communications. And again, Madison trying to use that 5 count to its full effect, and putting her boot into the throat of Chantel, who's backed up into a corner, literally and figuratively here. And snapmare takeover brings Chantel back to the middle of the ring, as Madison Miles firmly in control of this matchup, and once again working on the neck of Chantel, pulling her back towards the center of the ring. Another count of 2 rather. And official informing Madison Miles, yes, the shoulder did get up at 2. Great work by the official Jeff James there to let us know that was in fact a 2 count. As Madison Miles using the weight of her knees here and getting some impressive elevation there, actually. And no doubt that's going to do some damage to the upper body of Chantel. As again, Madison Miles getting preoccupied with the people in the stands. And you got a competitor the caliber of Chantel in there, you better focus on your opponent. You don't worry. As great as these ECPW fans are, you're going to block that out if you're in the middle of the ring. As Chantel now lined up against the ropes. Miles whips her from side to side. Sunset flip attempt, pinfall, 1 and a 2, and a kick out at 2. As Madison again, the wherewithal to kick out. It comes back with a powerful clothesline as Chantel sent to the apron, and Madison Miles quite pleased with herself, clapping her hands. Another pinfall attempt, and just a 1 count. And good awareness of Chantel. If you can get out of there at 1, you get out of there at 1. You don't want to take any chances here. Those 3 seconds can come pretty quick, especially against the competitor the caliber of Madison Miles. As Madison pulls Chantel up, backs her into the corner. And what might we see now from Madison Miles? Whips Chantel all the way across. Seizes up her opponent, runs into an elbow as Chantel gets her whereabouts with her. And big kick to the face of Miles. Now up to the second rope, aerial attack, a big clothesline. Now pinfall attempt, middle of the ring, 1 a 2, and a kick out of 2. And great ring positioning there by Chantel. Had Madison right in the middle of the ring. She couldn't get to the ropes. Madison able to kick out though at 2. Another big clothesline now. Madison Miles reeling with an elbow to the upper body. Chantel on the attack now, but it's countered. Oh, but an enziguri sends Madison Miles to the middle of the ring. Another pinfall attempt again in the center. No ropes in sight. And another 2 count. And a great work there by Jeff James. Tells both competitors just a 2 count. And a great matchup here to start us off here on ECPW on Seaside Communications. And I told you, these two know each other very well and knew we were going to see a great matchup. And that's what we're getting here. 2 of the best female competitors around. As Chantel blocked by Madison Miles. And now Madison almost looked like she was going to go for a bear hug. She has Madison up. She has Chantel up, rather. What is she going to do? But a counter on a DDT out of the air. Pinfall attempt. 1, a 2, and a kick out. And Madison Miles using every ounce of energy to kick out of that DDT off the top rope. Spinning DDT coming off the rope from Chantel. And that's the type of high-flying acrobatic action you get when you tune into East Coast Pro Wrestling here on Seaside Communications. As Chantel bringing Madison Miles up. Listen to the crowd. They're into this one. Side Russian leg sweep. Perhaps, no, it's blocked. As whipped off the rope. Big boot by Madison Miles. Perhaps a DDT of her own. Throws Chantel face first into the mat. Pinfall attempt. 1. And another kick out of 2. Boy, these two competitors are throwing everything at each other. I think it's the dislike between Chantel and Madison Miles providing that little bit of extra motivation. Neither one of these two wants to be subjected to seeing that hand hit the mat for a third time. As Madison now puts Chantel up on her shoulders, spinning her all the way around. Looked like it was going to be a Varmints carry takeover, but no, it's countered. Front first, side Russian leg sweep, pinfall attempt, middle of the ring, and it's a 3 count. And Chantel once again with a victory over Madison Miles. A tremendous matchup here to open East Coast Pro Wrestling on Seaside Communications. Chantel with a very impressive victory over Madison Miles. And I'll tell you, we've seen these two lock horns, and I wouldn't mind seeing it again. Always a great matchup. And a tremendous victory for Chantel, who is popular with the fans, and disposing of Madison Miles will certainly continue to earn her the favor of the fans here in North Sydney. As an impressive victory for Chantel. You are watching East Coast Pro Wrestling on Seaside Communications. I'm Patrick Bedille, your play-by-play commentator for this great hour of professional wrestling action here from the Cape Breton Farmers Exhibition in North Sydney. As the crowd revels in a victory for Chantel. ECPW providing great action throughout Cape Breton. We've seen ECPW in Inverness, seen it in Sydney Mines, Reserve Mines, New Waterford, and it's going to be returning to Reserve Mines on October 11th, Autumn Aggression 2019. And folks, tickets are going to go on sale in September, and you're not going to want to miss this one. Former WWE superstar Carlito will be there. And if you haven't seen Carlito, I'll tell you, he's in as good shape as he was during his days in the WWE, and it's going to be a very tough task for whoever's matched up with the former WWE superstar. Of course, had a very successful tenure at Impact Wrestling as well. Very much looking forward to see him back in the Maritimes. Big victory for Chantel here over Madison Miles on East Coast Pro Wrestling on Seaside Communications. What a matchup this is going to be, ladies and gentlemen. The most coveted prize in ECPW is on the line. The ECPW Heavyweight Championship, as Duke McIsaac is going to be making his second title defense tonight. And boy, does he have a worthy challenger in the form of the British Giant, Charlie Winston, who has been laying waste to competition here in ECPW. And as much as I don't like the tactics that he employed in challenging for this championship, or I should say making his intentions known to challenge for this championship, you cannot deny that he has earned this title opportunity, as he has had some impressive victories, beating some of the best that ECPW has had to offer. And as a result, while I don't think they were impressed with his attack of Duke McIsaac and the episode we saw earlier this year of East Coast Pro Wrestling, the championship committee did decide to grant Charlie Winston a title match based on his impressive win-loss record. And I don't think anybody here would disagree that he is going to be certainly a capable challenger, and perhaps the stiffest test that Duke McIsaac has faced in either of his title reigns here in East Coast Pro Wrestling. But of course, Duke McIsaac from right here in North Sydney, and you know this place is going to come unglued, and there it is! Duke McIsaac, who emerged victorious the last time we saw him defend that title against The Answer by disqualification. You know that Duke would love a pinfall attempt, but he's going to have his work cut out for him against Charlie. But I, for one, am very much looking forward to this matchup. Not only is the ECPW title on the line, but it's not often you get to see two men of this size going at it. Your classic irresistible force meeting the irremovable object, you can say. And two of the biggest. And neither one will back down from the other. And these are two big guys that can go. They're not going to be backing away from each other. So again, Charlie Winston challenging for the ECPW Championship. And this is going to be a fascinating matchup. Duke McIsaac, this is perhaps a rare situation where he may be giving up size, but certainly two larger-than-life characters going at it here. And two of the best you'll see around, competing for one of the top prizes in professional wrestling. There it is, the ECPW title. And Charlie Winston apparently feels he's already earned that title, but I've got news for Charlie. You got to pin Duke's shoulders to the mat or submit him to win that championship. And John Patterson will bring it down for us right now.
All the way from the United Kingdom, standing 6'9", he is the British Giant, Charlie Winston.
And you heard it, 6'9" every inch, and that is a daunting task for the champion.
The defending champion, weighing 262 pounds. He is the pride of the North Side, from North Sydney, Nova Scotia. He is
Pride of the North Side, indeed, and perhaps the pride of all of Cape Breton Island, and certainly the fans of ECPW are very happy that the ECPW Championship has landed in the hands of Duke McIsaac, who was long craving that title after losing it 12 years ago to Cowboy Mike Hughes, captured it earlier this year in Reserve Minds, and what a great moment that was. And yours truly, I've called a lot of big wrestling matches, a lot of big hockey games over the years, but I'll tell you, very few things, if anything, has matched the excitement of Duke McIsaac winning that ECPW Championship in Reserve Minds back in April. But as I said earlier, he has his work cut out for him here against Charlie Winston. This is going to be a tremendous matchup between two giants in the squared circle, literally and figuratively. This should be great. James Ash celebrating a birthday, and boy, he's got his work cut out for him here. Watching these two behemoths go at it. Test of strength in the middle of the ring, and the first salvo goes the way of Charlie Winston, and it's not often you see Duke McIsaac out-muscled, and I don't think Duke will take kindly to that. But Duke, very much a fighting champion. He's back on his feet, and he's hearing the approval of the fans here in North Sydney. As we heard John Patterson detail the hometown of Duke McIsaac, and you'd be hard-pressed to find a man more proud to represent the North Side, and he certainly does it well. And, of course, representing his Scottish heritage also with that kilt he wears to battle every time he defends that championship. Duke, once again, thrown to the corner, and perhaps a bit taken aback here by Charlie Winston. And Charlie Winston showing some battle wounds of his own, I guess, with that K-tape on his shoulder. He knew he wanted to be in top shape for this matchup. Not every day you get an opportunity to challenge for the ECPW title. Charlie Winston now going to work on the back of Duke McIsaac, and again, it's impressive how Charlie's been able to ground Duke here in the early going. Now he has Duke McIsaac against the ropes and using the power of his knee as Duke McIsaac in trouble here early in this matchup. This is not the start the champion wanted to this matchup. He's thrown into the ropes and a powerful clothesline. And with ease, Charlie Winston brings Duke to the mat. Pinfall attempt and a 2 count. And Charlie Winston, for as impressive as he is, a bit of a lackadaisical, egotistical cover there. And perhaps that's why Duke McIsaac was able to get out at 2. Now Duke coming back with a big roundhouse rights, trying to slam the 6'9" giant. Easier said than done. And now Charlie Winston clotheslining Duke. And we talked about Duke being proud to be the North Side representative, perhaps too proud for his own good there, as no easy feat to try to body slam a man the size of Charlie Winston. And Duke McIsaac just found that out the hard way. And now he finds himself in a less than desirable position. But an exchange of headbutts here. Look at the power in that ring for both individuals. But nothing a knee to the gut, I guess, won't fix. As Charlie Winston puts Duke McIsaac into the corner, and again, using the strength of his body, some powerful blows as Duke is wound into the corner. As Charlie Winston trying to whip Duke side to side, but easier said than done. Again, this is a situation where both men are used to being able to apply their strength a bit easier than they are, because they're not used to facing a man as strong as they are, as to the biggest in ECPW here. Charlie whips Duke into the ropes, and Duke McIsaac finds himself now on the mat. Again, Charlie Winston must pin or submit Duke McIsaac to capture the ECPW championship. As Duke finds himself on the map. You hear the chants of Duke here, the fans in North Sydney trying to rally the hometown boy. Duke gets out of the way as Charlie Winston lined up. Another attempt at a body slam, but pinfall attempt. Can we have a new champion here? 1 and a 2. And just barely a kick out. As Charlie Winston questioning James Ash, but great positioning there by senior official James Ash, capable referee. You wouldn't want anyone else here in charge of a big matchup other than James Ash, and he was in great position to see that, in fact, that was just a 2 count. Now a powerful slam from Charlie Winston, and Duke finds himself in the center of the ring. Nowhere to go, but he gets out of the way of the elbow drop. Now both men smarting. As Charlie Winston feeling the weight of his own elbow, having bounced off that ring apron. And believe me, folks, I've been in the ring as a ring announcer. That's an unforgiving surface there in the middle of the ring. Duke coming in with some big right hands and a clothesline, but he can't take the big man down. Back to the ropes, another clothesline perhaps, and once again, Charlie Winston refusing to leave his feet. Duke ducks a clothesline, now another attempt at a body slam, the 3rd time is the charm! Listen to this place go wild! But now Duke McIsaac, favoring his back, took all his strength to bring Charlie Winston down, and I don't know if there's anyone else on the ECPW roster that could do that. A little jig in the center of the ring and a big elbow drop. No, it's a leg drop right to the throat of Charlie Winston. Pinfall attempt. And Charlie Winston able to get out just in the nick of time. As Duke McIsaac perhaps signaling for the Kilter roll. But wait a minute, what is this? Cowboy Mike Hughes interjecting himself in this matchup. And from behind Duke McIsaac, Mike Hughes interjecting himself in this matchup that he has no business doing, and James Ash with no other choice but to call for the disqualification. And here comes Dynamite Dylan Davis to the aid of Duke McIsaac. Dynamite Dylan Davis, now a house on fire, coming into the ring. Mike Hughes with some unfinished business with Duke McIsaac. And wait a minute, Lincoln Steen coming down to the ring. Is all order being lost here? And this is one of the most chaotic scenes I've seen in quite some time. And here comes Titus. Boy, the locker room emptying out. All the stars are here in the middle of the ring. And boy, I talked about what a great official James Ash is, but no man can contain all the humanity there in the middle of the ring. Titus, a house on fire. He clears the ring. And a shame that what had been a great matchup for the ECPW Championship comes to an abrupt end. But although the match has come to an end, the action certainly hasn't. As we have 3 fan favorites of ECPW standing tall Although I will say Mike Hughes, Charlie Winston, and Lincoln Steen still circling the ring. Mike Hughes looking for an equalizer. Looks like he's got one in the form of that hard plastic chair. You don't want to get hit with that. And Lincoln Steen now has a broom. I'm not sure what he intends on doing with that. As a microphone is surfaced. Let's see what Mike Hughes has to say. Ready to get tagged in? It's going to be great.
There's enough running, so we're having running in the booth.
Clearly Mike Hughes still with a bone to pick after losing that championship to Duke McIsaac. And the crowd getting behind Duke McIsaac here as a chaotic scene as I described earlier. As we've got 6 of the best. Duke calling out the Cowboy. See that matchup. And Duke McIsaac with no kind words for the friends of Cowboy Mike Hughes. What a challenge being laid down by Duke McIsaac. Okay. And will Mike Hughes accept? Well, is he going to accept the challenge or not? The fans want to see it. Now Mike Hughes has to watch himself. He's going to get in serious trouble here. And ladies and gentlemen, all havoc breaking loose as so many of ECPW's top stars running out. And we even have people running into the broadcast booth now as I'm being joined here by Mavs Gillis, one of the voices of East Lake Community Television, as well as New Japan Pro Wrestling. Mavs, this is an unbelievable turn of events.
Patrick, we've got a six-man tag about to happen, and there's no one I'd rather tag with than you to commentate on this exciting matchup to happen. A real sportatorium feel here tonight as we've extended the main event. The fans aren't going to be sent home disappointed with a non-finish. We're going to get ourselves a finish right now, and Cowboy Mike Hughes is going to get his hands on Duke McIsaac. We're going to see what happens now.
Well, I know, Mavs, you and I think we're a capable team, but do you think even we can handle all the star power that's in the ring right now?
There is going to be so much mayhem. I do not envy the official in the ring. The mop has been thrown out. Lincoln Steen looking like he had the long lost cousin of Moppy outside the ring, and right now I have to wonder, what has Duke McIsaac got left in the tank? You saw that Charlie Winston really working him over in this matchup that was interrupted by Cowboy Mike Hughes, obviously jealous that Duke McIsaac, the hometown favorite, the champion here in East Coast professional wrestling, trying to get himself back in, and really Cowboy interjecting himself not just into this match, but into this entire card right now.
Yeah, and certainly he's bitter, I think we can safely say, about how things have unfolded. But what's interesting is, for as much as he wants that title back, we've seen in previous encounters in multi-man matches where he's not so keen to lock up when it's Duke in the ring. But he's got a capable opponent right now in Titus, and I don't know how they determined who was going to start this match. This is just so chaotic.
The Maritime Predator. We've seen him in action earlier tonight, and the Maritime Predator Titus has been impressing everyone around the East Coast for so many years.
Yeah, and he has certainly found himself in the championship conversation. And we talk about the issues, I guess you could say, between Mike Hughes and Duke McIsaac, but there's no shortage of history between Mike Hughes and Titus. And as you said earlier, I don't know how James Ash is going to contain it. How long until this just completely breaks down?
Well, it's going to be a tag or two, and then you're going to see all six back in the squared circle and firing on all cylinders.
And now we see Mike Hughes trying to jab those on the outside, and we finally get somewhat of a traditional wrestling matchup in the middle of the ring. And Mike Hughes, the stronger of these two, do you think?
Definitely Titus. It's not often you say he's giving up size against a veteran like Cowboy Mike Hughes. He is giving up that type of size.
Yeah, certainly some of the biggest of ECPW in the ring. And Dynamite Dylan Davis, not a small guy, but maybe he looks it next to everybody else that's in the ring, as now Mike Hughes finds a way to ground down Titus in the middle of that ring.
Nice side headlock.
As whip into the corner, we're teaming up here, folks. We don't think one person can handle all the play-by-play here, as Mike Hughes gaining the early advantage, I guess we could say, Matt.
Yeah, he's the freshman out of the bunch right now. He hasn't competed tonight. Of course, we saw Titus against Lincoln Steen already tonight for the Celtic Roots Championship.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it the Celtic Colors Championship.
I made that mistake earlier. It's okay.
And what is the Celtic Roots Championship doing on a guy from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan?
Well, the people here...
It's not the Riderville TV title.
Well, as a proud Riders fan, I will say he is no good representative of the Riders fans, but we know here the fans here would love to see somebody else with that Celtic Roots title, but we know they very much appreciate the man that has the ECPW heavyweight title.
And right now they're appreciating Titus with wonderful control on that side headlock.
Now he's been thrown into the ropes, but he meets a big boot. Titus perhaps once again back in control of this match.
Titus meets that back elbow of Cowboy Mike Hughes. Titus might be needing a tag now and rolls out of the way. Once again, nice takeover, side headlock, really wrenching it in there. No lackadaisical headlocks in this matchup.
No, definitely not with competitors of this caliber. Now, Mavs, you and I know as well as anybody, pinfall attempt at a 2 count, that in this type of matchup, it's all about cutting the ring in half. But do you think, where this is an impromptu situation, that these wrestlers are capable of, obviously they're friends, but that's different than being a team?
Well, you go from being singles wrestlers all night to all of a sudden thrown into a 6-man tag without talking any strategy, without saying, okay, if we're able to isolate a body part, I'd say, Steen, let's go to work. Right now, though,
We got our first tag of the match.
yeah, in comes Dylan Davis.
Oh, and throwing his weight onto the arm of Mike Hughes. Perhaps this is a good strategy, as you talked about, picking out a body part, going to work on it.
Nice takeover, and again, just standing on those fingers. Got to be excruciating, and a big stomp onto the wrist.
Taking away the digits of Mike Hughes, I guess we could say. And so far, it is the crowd favorites, I guess, that we can say that are exhibiting better teamwork, but maybe that changes with Dylan Davis in the corner.
You talked about how Titus was giving up size. Davis, well, he's in amongst the giants in this matchup.
Certainly so, but perhaps a good move. And now we're seeing Duke McIsaac getting his hands on Mike Hughes. And of course, Duke captured the ECPW title from Mike Hughes, the very man he lost it from. And what a showdown this is in the middle of the ring.
What a classic matchup that was as well. And make sure you check back. And if you get a chance to see that in the archives, rewatch it. An emotional moment, you called it. Now, Duke getting his hands on Lincoln Steen.
And of course, once again, Mike Hughes getting away from the champion. But here we have a special moment, Mavs. The two champions in ECPW in the middle of the ring, although it didn't last long. Dylan Davis, maybe the workhorse of this match so far.
And maybe a guy who wants to get himself into the consideration for that Celtic Rooks Championship.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, we know we have three great friends on one side of the ring, three great friends on the other side of the ring, but we know in the back of every competitor's mind, they want the gold around their waist. Lincoln Steen has it right now, and he had defended his title against Dylan Davis, who maybe wants a little bit of payback, but he's got to deal with action outside the ring.
Took out two, but can't take out the other. Steen, back body drop, and again, playing to the fans here at the Northside Exhibition, and they want nothing of it.
Yeah, and quick to tag out to Mike Hughes. And again, for as capable as a competitor as Mike Hughes is, a lot of the time he has a habit of tagging into the match when it's convenient for him, as he throws at Dylan Davis. And this is our first look at Charlie Winston this match, Mavs, I believe.
Smart veteran move, though, from Hughes. And in comes Charlie Winston, who this match originally was Duke McIsaac versus Charlie Winston.
Feels like a long time ago, doesn't it?
It's evolved into a 6-man tag.
And
Look
now,
at the strength there by Winston. Getting Davis up, just holding him, letting the blood rush to the head, getting that type of disorientation. Just an impressive display and even a more impressive impact into the mat.
pinfall attempt. The Mavs 2 count, but how long do you think he had him up there? Must have been a good 10 seconds or so.
A good 10 seconds, and look, I know there's all kinds of newfie jokes. But you're held up above your head. I don't care where you're from. You're going to be a little bit messed up after that.
Yeah, Dylan Davis might not know where he is, and now he's got to contend with wrestlers outside the ring. And Mike Hughes, a bit of a double team behind the referee James Ash's back. This is what we talked about. Hard to control all the action in the ring.
And Titus has got to get out because, look, you got to understand the situation. You've got your teammate in the corner getting triple teamed. You got to just back off, try to get the ref's attention back to the other corner. And now Steen is doing the work of just distracting the ref. He goaded McIsaac into it.
And you talk about giving up size, and now he finds himself, Dylan Davis in the corner, being worked over by 3 men. And that's a tough task for anybody, especially looking at pinfall attempt here at a 2 count. Lincoln Steen, who believes it was 3. The fans know different. But if you're being worked over by 3 men of that caliber, certainly no easy task for anybody. And perhaps not surprisingly, Steen, Winston, he was doing a better job of manipulating the circumstances of this match.
And Steen right now, look, you see him. And got to get himself out of the ring. Can't be around.
Yeah, Mike Hughes has no time for intruders, and stay away from the ring, folks. That is a place for trained professionals. This is no picnic what these guys do. But Lincoln Steen now reasserting control on Dynamite Dylan Davis, who's trying to get his way to the corner. But Steen, great body positioning there. He's blocking the tag. Oh, but there it is. Oh, but James Ash didn't see it.
We heard it, but James Ash not seeing it.
He can only call what he sees.
Dylan Davis caught again in no man's land.
And again, we said it before, Dylan Davis in particular, we talked about, he's giving up the size, and yet he's the one that is being subjected to numerous double teams and triple teams in the corner. How's he supposed to counter that?
You got to fight through. You got to have that fighting spirit, Pat, and that's, you hear the crowd here in North Sydney trying to get behind Dynamite Dylan Davis. Trying to give him a nice send-off across the Newfoundland Ferry tonight. Make sure he's not feeling too rough. But I tell you, it's pretty choppy for him right now in that ring.
That's right. He's about a stone's throw from the ferry, but it's not a very pleasant ride in the center of the ring as he's doing his best to fight out of the grasp of Cowboy Mike Hughes. Oh, and a big neck breaker, but Mike Hughes strong on his feet.
Absolute jaw jacker, and again misses the clothesline. Double clothesline spot. Both men go down, and now James Ash has got to assess the situation. Referee discretion. He'll start the count.
Absolutely, and after a move like that, you can see either competitor go down for 10, and it's almost like neither man, maybe Mike Hughes is in better position. I think he's more facing his corner. Dylan Davis, I'm not sure if he knows where he is in the ring right now.
Mike Hughes also may have the advantage in that you've got that long wingspan of Charlie Winston to get out and get that tag.
Absolutely, Mike's arm himself pretty long.
Yeah, and there you have, but the hot tag, both Winston and McIsaac in the ring now, legal men.
We're back to where we started.
Lariats being felt all across the North Sydney exhibition. Great back elbow off, springing off the ropes, colliding with his body into a body slam. Gets the big man up and over.
I didn't think we'd see that once, let alone twice. We saw that earlier before the original match was abrupted. Now Duke goes off the ropes and a big leg drop. Perhaps this time it's going to be enough to finish him.
Yeah, but you look, that's a very lackadaisical cover, especially with your back to the opponent corner.
Yeah, Mike Hughes coming in to break it up, and now we see what we expected to happen. Almost all 6 men in the ring. James Ash with pretty much, he has no chance of controlling all this action. The best really he can do is contain it. How does he even remember who's legal in the match at this point?
Well, I think no one in North City wants to see him to contain it right now because they want to see the boys go to work just hammering down from above.
A series of 10 punches to the foreheads of Charlie Winston, Mike Hughes, Lincoln Steen in a mid-ring collision. How about that?
Triangle Irish whips up. Fantastic maneuver.
Oh, but Dylan Davis finds himself in harm's way, and a powerful choke slam by Charlie Winston runs into a big boot of Titus. Action-packed maneuver after maneuver. Michinoku driver there from Mike Hughes. That's finished off many men, but who's the legal man?
McIsaac's going to get him up. But Winston comes in, hammering into the back, and the double team is continuing. 2-on-1, and Courage couldn't come at a worse time.
And no recourse right now for Duke McIsaac, but he ducks, and Charlie Winston, bit of friendly fire on the boot from Mike Hughes, and now Mike Hughes, the recipient of a powerful Duke McIsaac body slam. Maybe we'll see the Kilto Whirl. No, he's going to throw him outside the ring. Now he's trying to size up his original opponent. Now he goes back to these two. Kilto Whirl, perhaps, middle of the ring. There it is.
Hook the leg, go for that cover.
And a pinfall. Well, Mavs, we saw a lot of talent interject itself, but Duke McIsaac, as he set out to do before this night started, pins Charlie Winston right to the mat. 1, 2, 3.
It wasn't the match he expected to get his hand raised in, but the only thing that matters is he's sending all the hometown fans home happy. His hand held high along with Titus and Dylan Davis.
Regardless of whether it's a singles match or a 6-man tag match, Duke McIsaac defending his Cape Breton pride, and I think it's a 6-man, but it's basically a successful title defense for Duke McIsaac. He can say that he has pinned the shoulders of Charlie Winston to the mat. I'm not sure anybody's been able to accomplish that feat in ECPW. Very impressive, Mavs. What are your thoughts, what you've seen about this ECPW product? So many great stars in action here.
It's certainly fantastic to see pro wrestling here in North Sydney. A long-time hotbed, of course. We've went to so many Atlantic Grand Prix shows, and to see the maritime wrestling scene really elevated, and the product here, of course, a shining example of that.
Absolutely, and it's become a gem in the Cape Breton Farmers exhibition. As let's get the official word from John Patterson. The team in the impromptu matchup, as Mavs Gillis told us earlier, Duke McIsaac, Titus, and Dynamite Dylan Davis, successful in a tremendous 6-man tag match. Want to thank Mavs Gillis for joining me here on another great episode of East Coast Pro Wrestling on Seaside Communications. We'll catch you next time.